Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Putty and welcome back for another edition of Mid-Atlantic Wrestling. 2018 has been, unlike other years, one of the most rollercoaster years throughout the territories. We've had new faces come in, guys like Adam Smasher, known as a pretty known name across the country for working for SWF for many years. We also had fresh faces really stamp authority on the territories. Guys like Ernest Younman, who went on a long journey from coast to coast through multiple countries to pick up the skills that he needed to become the man that he wanted to be. But even after a roller coaster year where so much has changed and we've gained and lost so many new parts of this wonderful territorial family, there must come a night where everything reaches a boiling point. And we have some endings, and we have some beginnings. And every year for Mid-Atlantic Wrestling, that is in October. That is on the date of our anniversary. And that is tonight. Because tonight feuds end. Tonight's feuds begin. Championship reigns may end. Championship reigns may begin. But one thing is for sure. That tomorrow morning, it will all begin again. Thank you everybody for joining me today. We are going to be in the Charlotte Garden. Very hostile crowd here. It was run by Dave whenever they came down here. And it's a 1,000-seater building, part of my venue project that I'm working on. It's got 1,000 seats in it. I think we'll easily fill that out tonight. I'm aiming for next year to be in the Mid-Atlantic Sportatorium, which is another building that I added in my first lot of buildings that I added in the project, and that seats 2,000. So that's the aim for next year. Let's double our attendance. I think we can do it. But hopefully we'll have a big show tonight to build off of and go forward. Our main event of the evening, Island Boy Apollo will defend his Mid-Atlantic Regional Heavyweight Championship against the Demon, Scythe. And also in a big match tonight, we are going to have the Tag Team Champions, the Mid-Atlantic Tag Team Champions, the Ring Generals, defending against Devil May Care, the team of Acid and Stuntman. We've also got a number one contenders match as the extreme, violent rivalry of American Elemental and Kamikaze comes to a head, and the winner will be number one contender, be given an opportunity at that Mid-Atlantic Regional Championship going forward. And Dewie the Architect Archer has put out a challenge, has really fierily, in a vitriolic manner, has called out Ernest Younman, who recently lost his World's Heavyweight Championship. Will Ernest respond? We will find out tonight. And also we will continue the Hot Prospects tournament, the tournament where we give a lot of young, interesting characters from across the territories an opportunity to show what they can do on the biggest stage of them all. That continues tonight. And let's get started. And we do sell out the Charlotte Garden as we open the show with the Tag Team Championship match as Devil May Care put their bodies on the line. They fling through the air. They don't give a shit. They do everything in their power, and they just catch the generals off guard. You know, guys like Dean, guys like Marv, they like strategy. They like structure. Dean likes to grind a match to a halt. He likes to slow things down and work you down. Put you in dangerous and nasty positions every second of the match. Marv, he likes a medium tempo. He likes to throw you about a bit. He does like control over the match. But they just can't get that because Devil May Care, they're not predictable. They're not opponents you can scout. They're not opponents you can look at tape for and say that's what they're going to do and that's when they're going to do it. They're just going to fling themselves. They're going to do whatever comes to mind, whatever nasty, violent, Devil May Care things that come to mind. They will do it. And it doesn't matter whether they hurt themselves. It doesn't matter whether they take years off their career. They will do it. And tonight they upset the generals. And they become the Mid-Atlantic Tag Team Champions. A sensational debut year for Devil May Care, winning the Sam Keith Classic and the Mid-Atlantic Tag Team titles. Fantastic stuff from those two. I'm sure this tag team reign will be legend. Wait for it, dairy. So we move on to a match in the a match in the Hot Prospects tournament as Patrick Vincent defeats Bobby Smith with a private breaker, moving on to the semi-finals. Pretty bad match. Yeah, pretty bad match. And this was also pretty bad. That's okay. That's fine. As George Carville defeats Alvin Sierra by pinfall with a trapping giant powerbomb. Good stuff from the young guys, you know. You don't expect too much out of them. Sometimes I'll throw in, like, younger guys on the core roster into this tournament, but none of my guys are eligible anymore. They're too old. They're, like, in their late 20s or mid-20s or something. It's like, damn it. I can't put them in it. So they are going to struggle, but these aren't dreadful ratings, I guess. I'm a little disappointed with this tournament this year so far. Hopefully we'll get good stuff in November and December. As we move into the special attraction match, The Void, Lefty Wilkes and Eric Blackley defending their tag team titles, their world tag team titles against the Dynamite Express, who are back for one night only, they said. And this match is a fantastic showcase of tag team wrestling, two tag teams working at the peak of their powers. The peak of their powers. And wrestling some great tag team action. And towards the end, it looks quite clear that the Dynamite Express are on top, and they look a little, like, surprised. They're like, we haven't wrestled in, like, 3 months together. We did not expect to be on top of this match. We did not expect to be in a winning predicament, but they could see they could win this match. And they kind of have this, like, meeting of the eyes, and they send mind messages to each other, and they're like, if we win this, we're the World Tag Team Champions. And there's a little bit of excitement, but then they realize, wait, if we win this, we're the World Tag Team Champions. We have to be a tag team again, don't we? Do we vacate them? What is going on? They're very confused. And for a second, it looks like that distraction is going to let Lefty take the win here. But the Dynamite Express, the great tag team that they are, turn it around and win. They win the World Tag Team titles. Holy shit, man. One night only, and they have again cemented their legacy. Some of the greatest tag team wrestlers in the history of this business. Sensational. Sensational. We have a backstage, not backstage, it's the interview area at the Charlotte Garden. Vinnie Cruz and Scythe are standing there, Scythe looking all menacing with his plastic scythe and his hooded coat. And Vinnie Cruz says, you know, I've had my fun. I told you about a year ago that I like to watch the world burn. And luckily over the last couple of months, I've got to watch that world burn. I got to see my demon play with things. I got to see him in a fun mood. January, he played with his food a little too much. That was a problem. We refocused, but he was still having fun. Then in the early summer, George Wolf came along and he pissed my demon off. That was a mistake, George. And now you're in the hospital bed, fearing for your life, because my demon got to pick you apart because he was angry. But that was all games. That was all fun. That was just for my entertainment. But now it's time to get a return on my investment. Now it's time to change things. Now it's time for Scythe to become the Mid-Atlantic champion. And prove to everyone that this is his yard. And we are moving in. The architect, the architect, Dewie Archer, comes out to the ring, sits in the middle of the ring, kind of cross-legged, and just waits. He's like, is he coming? Is he coming? You're damn right he's coming. Ernest Youngman comes down to the ring, hype as you like. His usual charismatic entrance, but with a tinge of hatred in his eyes. You know, it's developed only over the course of a month, but that promo pissed Ernest Youngman off, and he came into the ring. It's not the usual crisp, charismatic. It's not the usual on top of his game, easy to read technical match from Ernest Youngman. He's pissed off. He's sloppy. He's brawling. Ernest Youngman is not working those slick, hold-to-hold, fast technical wrestling that you're used to. He's just angry. And he's trying to hurt the architect. And for a good portion of this match, he's able to. For a good portion of this match, he's able to just hurt the architect and punish him. But you know what? Dewie Archer is a great technical wrestler, and Dewie can match Ernest. And once he's kind of been rocked, once Dewie kind of realizes that he's in this match, you know what I mean? Like, the first 10 or so minutes, he's just rocked. He doesn't know what's going on. But he realizes, and he starts matching Ernest, hold for hold, hold for hold. Man, just slick, and maybe he's even on top. Maybe he's even getting the better of Ernest Youngman in a technical wrestling match. Because remember, Ernest isn't in here being crisp, being clean, being precise like he usually is. Ernest is being sloppy. He's cutting corners. And he's leaving opportunities. And those opportunities are being taken. Because Dewie Archer, if nothing else, is an opportunist. And he takes those opportunities and he manages to use that slick, charismatic technical wrestling that Dewie Archer is capable of. And he gets on top. And he manages to get back on top of Ernest Youngman. And Ernest just cannot lock in that crossface checkaway. Just can't do it. Because every time it's slickly reversed into a leg lock or slickly reversed into a chokehold. And then finally, Ernest looks at the crowd. Dewie looks at the crowd. He looks at Ernest and he smiles. And Ernest slaps him cold in the face just as hard as he can. And then Dewie DDT Proton Lock. And Ernest Youngman on the grandest stage of them all in front of 1,000 people at the Charlotte Garden. The master, the assassin of the squared circle, the wrestling machine, taps out. Dewie Archer celebrates. It's clearly the biggest win of his career. And he goes down the ramp, but left in the middle of the ring. Dejected, hurt. Is Ernest Youngman and grabs a mic from the corner of the ring. Gets on it and says, the reason I came here tonight is because, in the front of my head I said it was because I wanted revenge. It's because some guy from Mid-Atlantic Wrestling slandered me, said lies about me, and I wanted to come here and prove them all wrong. But that wasn't really why I came here. I came here because what Dewie said, and I will call you Dewie, I'll give you that respect. What Dewie said is partially true. I'm embarrassed. I did lose my World's Heavyweight Championship in a nasty way. And, I was in a dark place in February. I didn't show it. I said it was a journey for self-betterment, but it was really a self-savior. I was in a dark place. Roddy talked about this a couple of years ago, that there are some dark places wrestlers can go when you're just not feeling like you're where you should be. But that journey that I went on, I got to see so many different cultures and so many different wrestlers, and I got to wrestle so many people. And I've told you since I've been in this company that wrestling is what I love. And it's not just about the money, it's not just about the glory. Hell, it's not even about the titles. It's about wrestling. Because I love this business, and I love each and every one of you. And, I look out there to 1,000 people, and I know this is the most attended Mid-Atlantic Wrestling show ever. And it gives me that tinge of warmth in my heart because I got to be a part of it. It doesn't matter that I'm not the heavyweight champion of the world. It doesn't matter that I didn't win this match. It doesn't matter that I'm not the wrestling machine. That I'm not the best there's ever been. That I'm not the assassin of the squared circle. Because I love this business. But you know what? I need to be that guy, I need to put on those glasses, I need to go out there, and I need to tell you guys that I'm the best. I need to point at my waist and see a great big piece of gold on there. Because that's just who I am. I don't know who I am without that. And I'm too scared, I'm too insecure, and I'm too lazy to figure out who I am without that title belt. So you know what? We're not going to do it. I'm not going to give in. Dewie, you beat me tonight. I very much suggest that you take up your deserved World's Heavyweight Championship shot, because I'll be damned if you don't damn deserve it. But you know what? If you take that belt, or even if you don't, there is another contender, and he might be at the back of the line. But he's got bright sunglasses on. He wears them indoors because his vision is augmented. He calls himself the wrestling machine. And he calls himself the best there's ever been. He calls himself the assassin of the squared circle. And you know what? He may be at the back of the line, but he's used to waiting. And he loves that damn line. And he'll stay in that damn line until he gets to the front. This was merely a setback. Now we get to set the journey again. Because this is where it all begins again. So I'm going to make a promise to you guys and to everyone watching, listening in the future, or anywhere you are. If I'm still with this company in 12 months' time, and I hope I am, there will be gold around my waist by night's end. You can be sure of that. I'm calling my shot. Anyway, enjoy the rest of the show. I'm sorry for the sob story. Enjoy the wrestling. I sure will. Peace out. And he heads to the back. And Ernest seems to be... I don't know, he seems to be back. That's one of the best I've seen someone take a loss before. So, it's pretty good. As we move into, I think this next match is Kamikaze versus American Elemental. I am correct, and in a 64C, in a decent match, American Elemental defeated Kamikaze with an American Earthbreaker, and this is the usual match they've had. But every time they're escalating it. Like, don't think they're just doing the same match over and over. They're escalating it. At this point, maybe they go out to the top of the ramp, because it is the Charlotte Garden. We might have a new ramp or something. They just throw each other off the ramp. Do a Hurricane Rana off the ramp into, like, a monitor that's nearby, because, you know, Kamikaze has nearby monitors or something. They go somewhere new and they just elevate. At this point, maybe we've got like a mini Tron tonight. There's a mini Titantron, or we call it mini Tron maybe, on the ramp tonight. And Elemental just climbs to the top of the mini Tron and he just sentons off of it. It's just escalation, because these two have reached the point where they are arch rivals here in Mid-Atlantic Wrestling. Maybe not across the territories. Maybe they have other rivals that they hate more elsewhere. But here in Mid-Atlantic Wrestling, since day one, since Kamikaze signed his contract, these two have been at war to prove that they're the better risk taker. Because that's what they do. That's who they are. They'll put their bodies on the line, either because in the case of American Elemental, he's really good at it, because he's been wrestling in that style since he got in the business. That's how he was trained. He knows how to execute high-risk maneuvers perfectly. Or in the case of Kamikaze, he just don't give a shit. He just don't give a shit. He will throw himself because his body is worthless to him if he can win a match. And these two just pilot each other. They don't even give... at this point, like I said, the reason why American Elemental tends to do it is because he can execute it properly. But when he's in there with Kamikaze, perfectly executed high-flying maneuvers are not going to do the job. You gotta not give a shit as well. You gotta descend into the madness. And he did. Remember, this was no holds barred. He just gets that kendo stick, just whacks across Kamikaze's back viciously. You know, he don't care. And that's the thing. He's like American Elemental, he's this colorful masked character, sure. But when he's in there with Kamikaze, he's got to get violent, and he does. He gets aggressive. He gets vitriolic. There is passion in the blows of American Elemental. And, you know, he's never got to talk here in Mid-Atlantic Wrestling, but you've got to believe. When you see him out there every night as American Elemental, he's this passionate, colorful, patriotic character. But when he's in there with Kamikaze, he's as dirty. He's as gritty as the rest of them. And he gets down, and he will fight. And that's what this was tonight. This wasn't a lucha libre clinical high-flying match. This was the third stage of escalation on a blood feud. And they're not doing high-flying maneuvers because it looks cool. They're doing it because they would rather kill their opponent and die doing it than live in the same world as their opponent. So they are just going crazy tonight. And in the end, American Elemental wins. And he will get an opportunity at the Mid-Atlantic Regional Heavyweight Championship. But who will be that champion? As we go, I hope, to the interview area. We do. Where Island Boy Apollo, he's there. He's kind of like, he's a little, not nervous, but he's a little reserved. You know, he's a little reserved. He's got his belt around his waist, and he doesn't say anything for like half a minute. But then he gets on the mic and he says, you know, I've been through a lot these last 2 years in Mid-Atlantic Wrestling. I'll be damned if it isn't the greatest 2 years of my career and my life. But, you know, I've got to fight some real monsters and some really good professional wrestlers. I've got to fight Roddy Remus. I've got to fight Greg Gage. I've got to fight alongside Ernest Youngman. I got to fight Clark Alexander. I've slayed the Giant Brody. I got to fight both members of the most successful tag team in the history of Mid-Atlantic Wrestling, and now they're the World Tag Team Champions. I've got to fight a who's who of American Territorial Wrestling. And you know, I've come through the other end. My face paint is still on. My biceps are still huge. I've still got a smile on my face, tassels on my arm, and there's confetti loaded in those cannons above the ring. And you know what? I've still got this title around my waist, and you know, Ernest Youngman likes to say, Greg Gage before him, there's only one title in this wrestling world that makes you number one, and I think they're wrong. Because maybe that's true of the world. Maybe your eyes are too big. Maybe your eyes are too destined on world domination. But you know what? I love this city. I love this company. I love this area. And quite frankly, I think the title that's around my waist right now, this is the title that makes you number one. And I could give two shits about the Confederation of the Territories World Heavyweight Championship. Yes, it's impressive. Yes, it's the world's best. But you know what? I think the world's best couldn't go 5 rounds with the best in the Mid-Atlantic. This is the greatest wrestling territory on the history of the planet Earth. And Scythe, if you want to get your hands on this championship, you need to be more than driven. You need to have more than your little handler who wants a bit of money on the side. You need to be more than vicious. You need to be more than aggressive. You need to be more than a monster. You need to be a fighter. You can't buy this title. You have to earn it, Scythe. And you know what? I've seen you. You're reckless. You don't got what it takes. You don't have that heart. You don't have that passion. You're here because you like to hurt people. And tonight, I'm going to take all the hurting you got, and I'm going to keep bouncing back. I'm going to keep kicking out. I'm going to keep hitting you with the Island Driver. Because I love this business, and I love this title, and you're going to have to rip it from my cold, dead hands if you want to get your hands on it. And Scythe rips it from his cold, dead hands. In a good match, Scythe defeated Island by Apollo in 20 minutes and 28 seconds by pinfall with an underworld spike. Scythe wins the Mid-Atlantic Championship title. He goes in there, after his promo, he is fired up. He just runs to the ring. Where Scythe was either still there or he makes a dark, scary entrance or something. And he's fired up. Sid Collier tried to mess with Island Boy in the last episode by rolling out of the ring and stopping Island Boy's momentum. This time, Island Boy just got that momentum. Straight away, shoulder block, and Scythe goes down. Scythe is not a giant. He's not a giant built man. He's a big lad. He's pretty big. He's like 6'6". He's a good 260, 270, maybe 280 pounds. He is built. He is muscular. He is a monster. But you know what really makes Scythe scary? It's his head. It's not his body. Giant Brody's bigger. Puerto Rican Power is a bigger guy. These are bigger people. But Scythe's just sadistic. So, as soon as he gets shoulder blocked, he goes down. But he doesn't care. He laughs. Scythe laughs as soon as he heads down at the start of that match. And he just gets up and he just slaps Island Boy across the face. It's not a punch. It's not a forearm. It's not a chop. It's a slap. That is disrespectful. Scythe, he hasn't got to talk yet. We don't know him. But the look in his eyes, it's like he doesn't care about Island Boy. He thinks he's little. He's worked in Rhode Island Pro Wrestling before, and he's destroyed everyone in his path. He sees this little regional champion, Island Boy Apollo, who thinks that this is the biggest title in the world, and he just doesn't give a shit. So he just big boots him, picks him up, choke slams, and Island Boy immediately fires back up. He's not going to get dominated. He's not going to get destroyed. And for the next couple of minutes, next 10, 15 minutes, it's just a slugfest where neither men are going to give an inch. But it's a very different atmosphere. Scythe will throw a forearm, and Island Boy Apollo will fire up. He'll be like, no, I will not go down. I have to fight for this. And then Island Boy Apollo will throw a forearm, and Scythe won't do that. He won't back off, act sullen, and then fire himself back up. Scythe just laughs. It's with Island Boy Apollo, he has to take a second and be like, no, I will not go down. With Scythe, he's like, of course I'm not fucking going down. What was that? Come on, hit me again. And it's just a back and forth brutality, and then both men get busted open. They start to really hate each other in this match. It's a very philosophical opposition here. Both guys, Scythe doesn't give a shit. He's just here to hurt people and win titles. Meanwhile, Island Boy Apollo, he loves this business. This title represents more to him than just a couple pounds of gold. This is about representing MAW as an ambassador across the territories and even the world. And so he's fighting for a philosophy, an ideal. I mean, not in a macro sense, not in a really big sense, but, he wants to be a good champion. That's all it's not that philosophical, but he wants to be a good champion. Scythe just wants to hurt Island Boy and knows that if he pins him at some point tonight, he'll get a piece of gold that he can put on his mantelpiece, right? And that's what Scythe does. He hurts him, and he hurts him. And Island Boy realizes that he's not going to put Scythe down. It's just not going to happen. We're 19, 20 minutes in, and Scythe laughed off every shot he's given him. And starts to weigh him down. Starts to realize that this isn't going to go well. And eventually Scythe Finishes the job. Powerbomb. Underworld spike. Game over. Scythe the champion. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please leave a thumbs up. Check out the rest of the series. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you especially enjoyed the episode, and you are feeling especially generous, you can feel free to check out the link to my Patreon in the description. If you have any creative input on the series, or I don't know, if you want to hear me rambling, then you can go ahead and check out my Twitter. Link to that is also in the description. Oh, Jesus Christ. There were bits of that I feel like I wanted to be better. The early bits especially. I was expecting, both tag matches I was hoping for not more in terms of the grades, but just, I don't know, I didn't have that much to say about them. But then the last 4 matches I really enjoyed commentating. So I hope you guys did too. Let me know what you thought about not just tonight, but I also want to know what you thought about the whole season, I guess. From last year's Where It All Begins Again, the night after that, or the last year's Proving Ground to now. I'm interested in what you guys thought about the whole year, really. This is my last recording of the session, so I'll get some chance to sit back and relax, and then we'll come back for next session, and we'll do the Proving Ground. Finish off the Hot Prospects tournament. I'm going to have to do some thinking mid-episodes to see what we're going to be doing for next year. I have a couple of threads that you probably have noticed during the show today that I'm hoping to pull out next year. But otherwise, yeah, there's some open slots on not the roster. I'm actually pretty happy with the roster. Yeah, I know, like I said last year, that at the end of this year I might do a roster showcase, talking about everyone. But I think I've done a pretty good job of doing that in the shows. There's nobody on the roster that I think needs more exposure, except for maybe Christopher Ball, who's gone and done another MMA fight. So it's like, maybe we just wait until he... Because I was thinking about releasing him, but he is really good. And I do want to do something with him. But and I'm free for suggestions in the comments. You guys always have good ideas, but I will warn you that I've probably already done something with him by the time you're watching this. So they probably won't get used, which sucks because they're usually better than my ideas. But, yeah. Anyway. This was, I don't know, I feel it's a weird atmosphere because obviously I've created a show today that's very sad. Pretty much. I mean, two of the 3 main events the heels won. And so it's left me in this, I guess it's kind of a good thing. I feel kind of sad, which is weird. I've been emotionally affected by my own show that I knew was going to happen 6 months ago. But I'm actually in a weird tonal place right now where I'm like, shit, this sucks. I hope you guys feel it too. If so, I've done a good job, I guess. But yeah, it's weird. It's very weird. I'm excited for the next year. We're kicking into overdrive, guys. We've reached the point now where I'm so invested in so many of these characters. I can't wait to tell more stories with them. I love some of them. I think I've really enjoyed booking this, and I hope you guys have enjoyed watching it. This has been one of my most fun series to book so far. I'm having a blast. So expect to see more. I hope to see you soon. And yeah, sorry for the ramble. We didn't quite get to half an hour. So I'll take that as a victory, and I'll end it off now before we get to half an hour. Thank you for watching. Thank you so much for supporting the series, and I will see you guys again next time.